think about football. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. This is the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.
Is that me? Is that you?
Here, God damn it! I had it. Why'd you even say anything?
Because I wasn't sure.
I had said it.
I didn't hear it. That's why I missed that.
Right,
My fault.
Whatever. Go ahead. It's you.
Come on, guys.
No. Go ahead, Mazz. Go
I
ahead.
don't even want to do it anymore. I'm being petty.
All right, cool. What's up, folks? Welcome into the Mazz and Bad Show. I'm your host, Charlie Baduini, always accompanied by Mr. Brandon Mazz Marrazzo.
I hate you this.
Are you tight? Are you tight right now?
I hate you this week. It's not even funny.
And of course, Mr. Producer Anthony Rocky Balboa Cafone, representing his Philly sports this week.
Can I just please tell you guys, I've never seen a worse scene in a movie than Rocky 1 when they have to like cut the eyebrow to show get the blood out of it. That is one of the worst scenes.
The cut man
ever. That is the fakest blood I've ever seen. It's just horrible. That whole thing is horrible.
I'm repping the
been a while since I've seen
I'm
that.
repping the Rocky Balboa look, the gray sweatshirt, the black skull cap with the hood up, because I gotta rep the Eagles. Even though I'm not an Eagles fan, I hate the Eagles. I can't see the three-peat. I can't do it. No, not gonna happen. I don't want it to happen.
Somebody here.
I don't want to give this guy any more praise. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they've had their time. It's over. I want it to be done. So go
You think
Eagles.
it's done?
Rocky Balboa.
You don't think they're gonna reload within the next 2 seasons? It's not done.
Hey, listen.
It's nowhere near done.
The Patriots went to 4 Super Bowls in a row, and then they had like a 7-year hiatus.
Okay.
It happens.
I don't think the Patriots also wasn't signing like quote unquote washed up talent and getting the best out of it like this. They were just bringing in no name guys that nobody else could ever use, So I don't know, dude. I firmly do not believe that the Chiefs are going into hibernation theory that everybody thinks is coming. Will Travis Kelce be there? No, but Patrick Mahomes is still young. He's still the best quarterback in the league in terms of like accomplishments over the last, span of 7 years and just pure talent. Even in a down year, this guy's in the Super Bowl. To say that he's not great is absolutely insane. To think that the Chiefs are going anywhere, I think is just ludicrous. However, I do think they're going down next Sunday.
Well, we'll see. But I don't know. What do you guys want to get to first? Or do you want to talk about the games? Do you want to talk more about the Super Bowl? We didn't really plan this out.
Let's talk the game. Let's talk the games.
I hate you. That's what I want to talk about. How much I hate
So,
you.
all right,
You are the villain. You just want to be a part of greatness. I hate you right now. And if Tom Brady wasn't in division, you'd love him.
I don't know what
No,
you're talking about. That
No,
doesn't
he
make
wouldn't.
it.
He
Yeah,
literally
no.
wouldn't. He
I
wouldn't.
would
Charlie
still
loves
despise
big
him.
arm stats. That's what it comes down to.
I like guys who, when I'm watching them on TV, I go, "Wow," you know what I mean? And Tom Brady just never wowed me.
That's insane to say.
And Josh Allen
I'm
makes me
saying.
listen. Josh
Patrick
Allen makes me go
Mahomes-
wow
So
sometimes.
did Josh
Well,
Allen ever make you go wow?
Josh Allen wows me all the time. He wowed me on that touchdown pass before halftime last week, and on Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs,
Yeah,
right? Right? Is that who they played? Bills played the Chiefs.
The NFL refs? Yes, that's who they played. No,
That's
dude,
what
honestly,
every Bills fan would like you to believe. But
Charlie, it's not just Bills fans, though. Like, if you look at the dialogue on the internet, I went to my local deli. Random strangers that have never interacted before in their lives are talking about this thing. I didn't bring it up. Normally, I start the conversation everywhere I go if I feel like talking. Random people saw the NFL hat and immediately started this entire thing. I don't even know who they're fans of. Are literally sitting there talking about how ridiculous that game was. So, like, it's not just Bills fans, my friend. It's fine if you don't want to believe that it was, shenanigans, but the majority of the country is saying shenanigans. I'm not saying the majority of the country is normally right. I'm just saying that's what's going on. However,
this
I
year it
saw
was.
shenanigans. I saw shenanigans. Oh, Charlie, you're going to cause some controversy. That's.
I saw.
I'm not even going there. I'm going to let you have that one.
I saw on a
okay?
third down, Dalton Kincaid catch the ball, lunge forward, and apparently got the 40-yard line. He absolutely got the 40-yard line. They placed it. They placed it almost 3/4 of a yard short. So
Yes.
they give it's less than 1 yard, 4 inches. Okay, fine.
You mean where his knee was?
I will
That's
give
not
you.
where his knee was,
I will
Charlie.
give
Look
you
at
4th and inches though. I will give you it. Fine.
Stop it. That's not
Josh
where his knee
Allen.
was. What are you talking about?
Absolutely got the first down on that QB sneak. The aerial shot shows the ball in his hand, over his head, over the 40-yard line, potentially at the 41. That was a first down, man. That's 2 instances right there that ends a drive and gives the Chiefs a short field, which they were able to capitalize right after it.
Not to mention, it's even worse than that. The initial call from the first line judge has it marked a yard above where the first down marker was, which they shouldn't even have been there, as Kincaid landed on the line with his extra effort. And Charlie, you said where his knee was. It's where the ball ends up going, and his knee did not touch.
Well,
He landed on the thing.
It's where the ball is when your knee touches.
But his knee didn't touch. He landed on the line. He made the extra effort. Second,
That's not what officiating thought, but
well, they're wrong, okay? Because
Okay.
they literally overruled the guy that was right. The guy
Okay.
who made the spot of the ball the second time did not have the angle. He never once saw that ball. Josh's back is literally towards him if you watch that replay. He comes in and overrules the correct line judge who had the ball spotted a yard above where they needed to get to. And then they just overrule this guy out of nowhere. It makes no sense. Why? Because that ref grabbed the ball first at the end of the pileup? That makes absolutely no sense. That's not your call to make. You should be sticking to your side of things. And if you don't know what you saw, which you don't because you were staring at a man's back, which, mind you, all shots have shown that back was lined up with the first down marker. If the ball is in front of him, simple just reasoning tells you that ball is either on the line or potentially in front of the line. That guy had no business making that call, but he does. And I think it's insane.
So that referee's competent, but the other ones aren't? Is that your point?
I'm saying that guy showed his incompetence and should have never made the call. He had no business making it. Now,
by the way, I was supposed to say something. I just showed the highlight on the screen of that. I just watched the highlight compilation of that Chiefs Bills game. They show the 4th down sneak of Josh Allen, but they don't show any of the replays afterwards. They immediately cut to the next play. They don't even want fans to look at that highlight and question it. They just immediately want to go to the next play. They're trying to erase it. They're trying to erase the history.
I gotta tell you right now, I gotta give a shout out to El Prez, Dave Portnoy, who is a well-known New England Patriots fan.
And also had a gajillion dollars put down on the Bills that night.
For sure. I got you on that. But Dave Portnoy did a great job of breaking it down as to why that was a first down. I mean, he showed all angles on it, the multiple replays. He did just a decent job for once. I don't always agree with El Prez, but the tweets that he was out for once, El Prez is 100% right. That's who I saw out there. That was the first thing. I don't know how this algorithm is working on X, by the way. I'm getting the most random things popping up in the most random accounts I don't follow. But I'll give it to Portnoy that night. He was right. That judge was wrong. And it just is what it is. I will also say, too, not the same ref. Another ref messed up, too. That's not a catch. If it's 50-50 possession and a ball touches the ground, which they let them fight for it, and then they determine that it's a catch, 50-50 possession, ball touches the ground, that is a dead ball because nobody has possession. There's no hand underneath it. It's not like the ball landed on their chest and you can fight for it. The ball touches the ground without anybody clear possession. So therefore, you can't even say the ground didn't stabilize or whatever it is. The ball touched the ground and nobody had clear possession. That is a dead ball. And although there was a penalty that the Chiefs would be benefiting from in terms of having more opportunities to get into the end zone, the Bills in that game kept them out of the end zone before, so we have no clue what would have happened. I just think these are 3 egregious instances to NFL officiating. We get no statement on it. I don't even see a press conference. I don't get a press release. I don't say that things are going to be better. It's just, oh, hey, nobody saw that. We're going to sweep it all under the rug because that's what this league does. They refuse to admit that they're wrong. Let's not forget, these are the same people that denied CTE for a decade.
So I don't think it's no one can deny that NFL officiating could use an overhaul. I mean,
Sure.
Should there be a microchip in the ball to measure first downs?
But it's got to be on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like in the year 2025, that's something that would be easily possible to figure out, especially with all the technological partners that the NFL has in terms of Amazon Next Gen Stats, whatever, you name it. But for me, it all boils down to this. And let's push all the referee stuff to the side. Let's push the Chiefs stuff to the side. Let's take a look at the Buffalo Bills. The matter of the fact is, even after all these times, if you want to say they got screwed by officiating, they still had a chance with 3.5 minutes left in the game, down 3 points, to march down the field, score a touchdown, and not even give the Chiefs any time back to even go ahead themselves. And they couldn't do it. And that's what happened.
Not true. That's not true. That is not true because we don't know if they could have done it. They got the first down, and shenanigans took that away. So you can't say that. What you can say is this. Why the hell did you not run the ball more? James Cook touched the ball 13 times. Well over 100 yards, was dominating. Where the hell was his touches? Not even down the stretch, just the entire game. What the hell are they doing on offense? I do not understand.
Well, they took him out, too.
For that, that's fair, for sure. If you want to blame them for that, I'm 100% with you. But to sit there and say that they did not do their job in terms of marching, controlling time, and all that good stuff, they did the job. The results just don't go their way because of a horrible back-to-back officiating.
No, but Mazz, you can't. I'm saying put the officials aside because what's something you hear after every game, not even the Chiefs game, but every time there's a bad call to end a game.
You cannot put the decision in the ref's hands.
I know it's cliche, but it's true. It's true, Mazz.
It's true when you're talking about a team that you absolutely should have been blowing out of the water. Nobody should have ever thought the Bills were blowing this team out of the water. I think Philly's going to win, and I still think it's going to be a dogfight. The Chiefs could never, ever in a sane person's mind be considered a team that should be getting blown out of the water. There's far too much talent, far too much experience, and two of the best coaches you'll ever see. One of the best coordinators and one of the best head coaches you will ever see on that side with a top 5 quarterback already at the helm. You cannot count these guys out ever. So to sit there and say we need to execute so much better to not put it into the hands of the refs, that's just not happening when you're dealing with two of the best teams in the NFL. I'm with you on like a regular season game and you're playing middle of the pack Joe Schmo, but when you're playing elite competition at the highest capable level, one step away from the best game in the entire world, it's just not going to happen, dude. You're not dominating that kind of the competition to keep the refs out of it. It's a 50-50
you can.
the entire way. You're not.
Yeah,
you're just not.
Yes, you can.
Who?
Anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a regular season or a postseason game. It doesn't matter if the person's a 2-touchdown favorite. It just doesn't matter. They had an opportunity. Doesn't matter what led to that point. They had a chance to win the game,
Charlie,
and they couldn't do it.
If I did enough to get to my marker and it gets taken away from me, I just think that's a bad argument, my friend. I hear what you're saying where it's like, oh, it shouldn't even been in their guys' hands. However, I did meet the mark that you're asking for. I literally got to the first down marker and then some twice. Once I landed on it, the other one I got over it. So, like, I get what you're saying, but I did enough to keep that drive alive. Now, can we sit there and say for certain that they were going to score? Kinda, I think so. Like the way that the momentum was going, the way that they were putting up points on the Chiefs. But still, you never know. Maybe Josh throws an interception. Maybe they fumble. Maybe the Chiefs defense makes a stand. However, I got to give offense the benefit of the doubt in the era that we're currently playing in. And the way that Josh was looking, I got to believe that Josh would be the one going to the Super Bowl. But we will never know. But I will forever sit there and wonder what could have been. And you will never convince me that that wasn't two of the worst calls, well, 3 with the catch, that I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know what we're doing.
All right. So I already agreed here that we both can say officiating was rough this game. It was questionable at best. Like I said, we're putting that all to the side because you can't factor that in when they still have a chance to win the game. You can't.
I don't know about that, dude. When it literally takes away that moment, it literally takes away that chance that you're talking about, Charlie.
I know, but I know, but it doesn't matter that they didn't throw it away. It was some tough calls that went against them, but it's at the end of the day, it's still an excuse. You can't be making an excuse if you want to win a Super Bowl.
Do you think that the Bills were the better roster in this game?
No.
So then how can you make that argument then? Second, do you think...
How can I make what argument?
That they should have dominated the guys that you are literally saying that are better, that they should have executed better.
Who's saying they should have dominated? I'm saying they had they needed one drive. They needed one drive. They had an opportunity to go on a scoring drive to send them to the Super Bowl, and they couldn't do it. It doesn't matter what led them to that point. They had an opportunity and they couldn't cash it in.
But the two things that we're talking about, 2 of the 3 penalties, missed calls.
I know
we are complaining about.
I know
happened in that instance.
I understand.
So how can you make that argument?
Because that's football. That's the bounce of the ball. Sometimes you're going to have calls go against you. It happens. We can admit that, okay, maybe Buffalo got hosed a little bit here. But regardless, you can't leave it in the hands of the officials. Maybe instead of running a QB sneak or your pseudo tush push on every 4th and 1, that, by the way, they converted only twice out of 5 times that night, maybe do something different. The Chiefs had a multitude of 4th and short plays that they used to convert on that Sunday night game. The Bills kept trying the same thing over and over again. And it worked sometimes it didn't work. When you're throwing Josh Allen into a pile of 8 300-pound bodies, it's going to be tough to get it exactly right. So the Bills had opportunities to come away and win this game and overcome those questionable calls, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You're acting for a stacked pile to overcome the odds, and now I have that going against me as well. Like, as we already said, you personally think that the Chiefs have a better roster. I actually tend to agree with you. It's just, I don't know, man. I think that they did enough for what you're asking in all aspects, and you can't have that many things go against you. All in not only the same game, the same drive, 2 of the most egregious ones happening. And it's not like we're sitting there and Josh got lost in the sauce. There's multiple angles, whether it's above the head, whether it's from the right side, whether it's from the left
All right,
side.
so
Hold
we're
on,
still
I'm not done yet.
no, because we're still going back. We're going back to the calls now, and I'm saying, Mazz, we have to take those out of the equation because I'm conceding to
Can't do
you.
that, dude.
I'm conceding to you that they're questionable at best. They're
Yeah.
questionable at best. Let's do this from a Bills perspective. You got screwed. Screwed. Okay, make the play anyway. When you have the opportunity in front of you, you got to make the play anyway.
So, Charlie, here's my question to you, though. What happens, and I'm being hypothetical here for combative sake. What do I do if they did go, to James Cook, and James Cook got that first down with a multitude, and then a BS hold comes? Because there's instances where I could do what you're asking to, run past the pylon.
We're back to the officials now. We're back to the officials now.
And that's the argument that I'm making. You can never take them fully out of the equation. You just can't.
All right,
you literally can't.
We're gonna agree to disagree. We're not gonna get anywhere with this because like I'm just gonna keep going back to they had the opportunity. You're gonna go back to they got screwed by the refs. So I
would agree. And the last thing I'll say on it, I will agree with it in terms of having the opportunity if they threw that away. I think Dalton Kincaid threw an opportunity away that he absolutely could have came back to and caught. I also think they should have never been in that position in the first place. I also have a giant problem with the play call when you see I am nowhere near an offensive coordinator. Okay, I played high school ball. That's it. But there is nowhere in the world where you have zero coverage, not cover 1 man, not cover 2 man. There's no safety help over the top whatsoever. There is nowhere in the world where I don't think that you see cover 0 coming your way, that 1, you don't think that a giant blitz is coming, and 2, that you do not hot check and just go on a go route with your fastest guys and send that thing down as fast as humanly possible. I think that they fumbled in certain situations. However, they should have never been in those situations to fumble it in the first place because I don't think you can take the refs out of it completely like you're saying. However, we got stuff to get to, and I'm with you.
Should we touch on the Eagles and the Commanders a little bit? I mean, that game didn't really have much to talk about in the first place.
Did anybody think that game was going to be close? Anybody here?
Not really. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think it was gonna be close. I thought the Commanders were gonna blow by the Lions, but they surprised me.
I figured the Eagles were going to win. I mean, the Commanders came out with some spunk, though, I thought. I mean, that first drive, they were playing the way they did in Detroit. They were going for it on 4th downs, getting points. And then Saquon Barkley, first run of the game, takes it all the way to the house. And the person I feel the most for, I mean, this probably goes without saying to anybody who watched that game, but Jaden Daniels left it all out there. I mean, he scored a touchdown to put it at 14-12. And then the next time he touched the ball, it was 27-12 because of fumbles. And at that point, it was just too deep of a hole for them to dig out of. And the thing that sucks the most is I'm not sure the next time this Commanders team is going to be back this close again to its shot at a Super Bowl. Because Jaden Daniels is obviously one of the greatest rookie quarterbacks we've ever seen from a statistical standpoint, winning, playoff run, just an absolute fantastic season on his part. But the rest of the roster is a weird mix of like old veteran talent and like middling younger talent. Like their best players are Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne on the defensive line. Those guys are late 20s, early 30s. Daniels' go-to target during the NFC Championship game, Zach Ertz, is 34 years old. I mean, they got a lot of building to do. They got a lot of free agency money to do with it. And if they hit on some draft picks, they'll get back sooner rather than later. But I think it's going to be a bit until we see another NFC title game birth from Jaden Daniels and the Commanders.
I don't know about
I will
that,
give you
Charlie.
that.
I don't know
No,
about
no,
that.
I'll give you that 100%. I think he's right, but I actually think he's being too nice about it. It's on them to be competent, right? You have the Cowboys reloading next season under brand new management. We'll see how that happens. So the division just got even harder just because you have a star quarterback coming back into the mix that you have to compete with. However, you have more money to work with. You have younger talent to work with who does not have the injury histories that the Cowboys do. You really only have to worry about Philadelphia in division, and I'm not loving what I'm seeing from the rest of the division anyway, except maybe Detroit, who's going to be back and reloading, but they've lost 2 coordinators. We have no clue what that's going to be like. I think to sit there and say that, oh, they're not going to get back because everything's stacked against them, they have a clearer path to getting back than most teams do just by being willing to spend the money. They're already a hot place that players want to play for. It's been in every report that you've seen. Players want to go play for Dan Quinn. They want to be a part of the Commanders' revival because they actually feel like that there's an ownership group that actually gives a damn instead of just bottom line profit. They're actually passionate about the product that they're putting out there. So it's on the Commanders to go out and get the right guys. It's on the Commanders to go out there and bolster that wide receiving room that already has a hidden gem that nobody talks about and Terry McLaurin, but you absolutely need a second option. Yeah, Zach Ertz is hitting, those twilight years, but let's be honest, it's not that hard to find a good tight end. We're not asking for an elite tight end. We're asking for just a good tight end. They're out there. You can absolutely do this. I think they have a clear path to reloading. You just have to be willing to spend the money and really focus in on what you need as an organization instead of just being like, yeah, here, so-and-so past your prime, take this bag. No. Go get guys that are hitting their stride. They're out there. You know who they are.
And I think you touched on it, Mazz. That's the big thing that the Commanders have now that they didn't have in previous years. That's competency. You have a good coaching staff, you have a good ownership group, and now you have a good young core of players. Because you didn't mention Bobby Wagner, another aging veteran on that defense, but Jaden Daniels brings a youthful presence. And I think that's a lot of the times what you really need to kickstart like a franchise, start under rebuild, is have that one young, exciting player that draws attention. And Jaden Daniels, with the run he's done this year, I don't think this is it for the Commanders. I really don't. I think Dan Quinn... You saw what he did up in Atlanta his first stint as a head coach. He had a Super Bowl run in there, and that team was dominant. Matt Ryan was an MVP candidate. And with Cliff Kingsbury running this offense, you could see the development in Jaden Daniels throughout this season. In the beginning of the year, what was he? He was a run-first quarterback. Those first 5 games of the season, did he even have a single touchdown pass? I don't even think he did. He might have had one. But the fact that now we're talking about him, he's leading the entire NFL in this postseason in passing yards. He was putting up monster performances against the Lions and then inspired a performance, even though he didn't get the win here against the Eagles. This guy's a star. This guy's going to be a mainstay in the NFL for years to come. And the fact that we're thinking that this is the last chance, no, they're just getting started. This Commanders team is going to be a contender in the NFC for a long time. I think we're underselling what they did this season. Because think about it. You went into Tampa Bay. You faced a Bucs team that had Baker. Mike Evans was getting healthy. They were getting all the pieces back. They were underdogs in that game. And to have the presence of mind that you saw Jaden Daniels in that game looked very strong. He looked very comfortable. He looked very in tune with the moment. And they got that win. And then they go into Detroit, 1 seed, 15-win Lions. Granted, the defense was depleted, but they went in there and they dominated. They were able to force 5 turnovers on the defensive side of the ball, and Jaden Daniels played virtually a perfect game. This team, even though they were young and had a couple of aging veteran groups, they played perfect football in this playoff run. And granted, the Eagles were just a buzzsaw, and I frankly thought they were going to be the team that came out of the NFC this year. They were tough in those early first couple of quarters. I think the Commanders are going to be a tough team.
And I also think that Jaden Daniels has a little bit of that Lamar Jackson where it's, hey, I am so much of a threat myself just as a player, not even necessarily traditional quarterback play, just I'm so mobile, and I somehow make these perfect throws, even though I hate the form that he throws with, because it just does not look like a full extension. I will never understand how the ball gets there, being up in the air that long on the shortest of passes, but it's always right on the money, so I'm going to have to shut up and just take it. But he is such a factor of teams that they don't even need to hit on the biggest of talents. They just need guys that want to be there and be hungry. That kid's going to take the game into his hands and make plays, and that's what the best of the best have tend to do. Charlie was, I believe, on the train before any of us. This kid is probably going to be the next great one, and I hate it because he's in division.
The only thing I would like to see from Jaden Daniels next year, I mean, aside from a development perspective, is I want to see him put some weight on. He is literally a twig. I don't know. I mean, like his. I feel like my arms and his arms are like the same size. Like we both. I mean, obviously he can throw a football way better than I can.
But I don't think that's a problem,
he's just,
Charlie. It wasn't a problem for him this season.
I mean, he missed a game or two back in like October. I want to say, didn't he crack his ribs?
Sure,
I just think he needs to put a little more weight on, a little more muscle, maybe even a little more fat. Because like you see, look at like Mahomes. He's got a belly, and like that, it can protect you a little bit. You know what I mean?
Look at Lamar.
He also wears a flat jacket too. That's like really insane. So like that's like one of like the biggest flat jackets I feel like I've ever seen.
Well, you ever seen those pictures of him shirtless in the locker room?
Yeah, that too. I'll give you. But
Charlie, what are you
it's
looking
kind of
at?
weird because like you got to be careful about putting on muscle. Even though I'm always an advocate for getting bigger and stronger, but you got to keep your flexibility as too. So it's like sometimes taking those hits. And you got so much muscle that it's just the tear's happening. There's no room to move, Like, obviously, it could protect you, but I think, like, the flexibility, you got to balance that out. So it's like, I'm not saying he got to stay like Kevin Durant, but I also am not saying that he needs to, get on a steroid cycle. Neither. A little muscle is fine, but I think keeping that mobility and keeping the flexibility is actually more important for a kid.
I'm just saying like 10, 15 pounds. I don't know.
Yeah, we always want guys to gain muscle. Hit a yoga class, damn it. Get flexible. All right, it's good for everybody. You guys ever done hot yoga? Fantastic.
I gotta get into yoga.
I have never done
I do
hot
have to get into
yoga, but
yoga.
I took a yoga class at Montclair. That was it was my physical education. I had to. Everyone, didn't you guys have to do one too?
No, I just did like we did like one yoga day in gym class, but we played kickball the entire time.
I was in personalized
a bunch of 20-year-olds. I'm 27 out here arguing, well, 26 at the time, 26 years old arguing kickball calls like it's the damn World Series.
I know, Mazz.
So, irregardless of the outcome of either game, we got Chiefs-Eagles back in the Super Bowl again, a rematch from the 2022 Super Bowl, where the Chiefs came out on top by a field goal. This definitely isn't. I mean, like I would say, like fan-wide football world around the. No one's really too excited for this matchup because we saw it so recently, and obviously a lot of people hate the Chiefs, a lot of people hate the Eagles. So it's really kind of a pick your poison Super Bowl. And this is kind of off topic, but isn't it so like looking back, how appreciative are we of that Bengals Rams Super Bowl that shook things up for a few years there in between things? Because it's ever since 2018, it's just been Mahomes and Brady every year.
I was rooting Matt Stafford so hard in that one, dude. That guy just deserved it. That was fun to watch. This one is just like, oh man, I am a part of the group of Cowboys fans that are rooting the Eagles, the Giants fans that are rooting the Eagles. I cannot believe that we've gotten to this point. But you want to talk about sidetracks? I'm starting to kind of believe the conspiracy behind the colors. Come on, dude. That's as close to Kelly Green as we could get without being Kelly Green. And you get the Chiefs red being in it. The Super Bowl logo thing. I mean, it's been like 4 years now, I believe, where it's hit. What is going on here?
We were so close
seen that
last
too.
year to purple and red being the Niners Ravens. Just Ravens couldn't get it done.
I don't know, dude. This whole thing is just very, very weird to me. But nonetheless, how you guys feeling about this game? Like, regardless of the fact, right? We can sit here and hate on the franchise all we want. We can sit here and hate on Patrick Mahomes all we want. But I think looking at this matchup, Charlie, you talked about Saquon Barkley before we were on camera. You hinted at I've never seen a halfback toss be so damn dominant in my life since watching like early '90s film of the NFL. And Saquon Barkley is kind of looking like Bo Jackson at this point. It's just like good luck trying to stop it. The guy's just that damn good, and not to mention that offensive line, even with the backup center of their starting guard moving over to center, having to play right now. Just absolutely ridiculous. I
Yeah,
don't even know how to stop it.
and everyone's really concerned about the injuries Saquon during the championship game was he was Theragunning his calf, and of course Juergens didn't even play. But I mean, 2 weeks, these guys will be healthy, they'll be just fine. And so we were talking before we got live, of course, about the Super Bowl and whatnot, and I said, yeah, I think Saquon's going to run all over these guys, and you touched on it when we talked about Bills Chiefs. Was James Cook was gashing those dudes, and the Bills' offensive line is nowhere near as good as the Eagles' offensive line. And all due respect to James Cook, he's not as good as Saquon Barkley. So
I don't even think he's close, respectively. I think I owe him an apology, as I said. The kid's really good, but there is levels to this. And Saquon Barkley's the best running back in the damn league right now. Derrick Henry's the only one that's even within the sight of him.
now I'll be fair to Spags and his defensive staff. I mean, he's got 2 weeks to game plan for it. Maybe he can find a little wrinkle, find something to game plan for to try and slow that run game down. But as long as the Eagles can keep running the ball, if they can maintain control, keep Mahomes on the sideline, they're going to win this game. The only way I can see it going the other way is if the Chiefs figure out a way to shut down that run game. They make Jalen Hurts drop back and throw, and he chucks some ducks. That's how the Chiefs three-peat.
Sorry, chuck some ducks is probably my favorite way of putting that. I've only heard it like 1 or 2 times, I believe, from you before. It's fantastic wording. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but I am a little concerned about Jalen Hurts because I do think that it's so annoying. I was just having like conversations off the pod. Obviously, always about football. We're always talking about sports in some way, and I got a Philly friend who Jalen Hurts is going down a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. He's going down a better quarterback potentially than Joe Burrow if he wins this thing. Okay? I do not think that he's better than the guys that I am mentioning right now. But if he wins this Super Bowl, if the Philadelphia Eagles continue to be as competent of a franchise as they are, you want to talk about not being done. I mean, the Eagles could potentially be the next dynasty if they keep it up, if the Chiefs don't take off the gas. Like, these are two teams that just always get the damn job done. And it does not start with elite talent. It starts with the front office having the vision to be like, we can do something with these guys. The guys that nobody even wants to talk about at times. A.J. Brown was supposed to be finished. He comes to Philly. He's a star, for crying out loud. They lose their center. They've got a better offensive line, it seems like, this year. It's just everywhere you look, there is not only competency, there is 3D chess being played while the rest of the league is out here playing checkers. I mean, anybody could have went out and paid Saquon Barkley. They didn't. I think they were afraid of the injury history. I didn't think that they thought that he was worth the price tag. Philly said, absolutely not. We have the line to protect him, and we actually have the capabilities of not running him into the ground. And look what happens when you manage situations instead of just, hey, best players go out there and win everything for us. No. We're going to move the ball around. We're going to make sure that we don't overuse you guys. And I think that a lot of franchises could absolutely learn from this, because too many times it's just, hey, dude, go out there and please, for the love of God, make a play in the most desperate of situations. That does not mean that these guys are necessarily better than other players. It just means that they've been put in better situations by more competent people at the top.
Yeah, this is a little off topic, but do you guys think, like, how much of an impact do you think Nick Sirianni has on the Eagles team?
I think a lot.
I like this is his second Super Bowl appearance. He's made the playoffs all 4 years as a head coach in the National Football League, of course. But like, let's say Vic Fangio is the head coach of this defense, or even Kellen Moore for that matter. Do you think there's that big of a drop off?
I disagree, Charlie. I mean, they've had how many coordinators over the last 3 years, 4 years, and they're consistently winning games. Like we said in the past, head coaches don't always, run certain sides of the ball. They're not running the game plan. They're there to keep the team in line, manage the game time decisions, and be a voice in the background. And I think he's been doing that at an excellent level the last few seasons. Eagles fans will tell you differently. They'll want him out every other game, pretty much. You go on Eagles Twitter or Eagles Instagram, it's, we won a game by 5 points. I can't believe this. Nick Sirianni needs to go. We're 14-3 and in the Super Bowl. I can't believe. Eagles fans, you don't realize how good you have it. You've made 3 Super Bowls in the last decade, okay? So stop acting like you're in such a terrible situation. You're not. You're in a Super Bowl right now. Be happy. Enjoy your time here. Win or not, your team had a great season this year. Nick Sirianni is a guy who is a good head coach in this league, okay? That's all I have to say.
You're
on
missing something, though, Ant, because I think you're right, but here's the thing. Nick Sirianni's the second coming all over the sudden because we're back to the promised land. We're no longer upset when the fact of the matter is that they brought in just the wrong coordinators before. They've had some injuries last season. That's the only thing that, Sirianni is the constant there, I fully believe. You have Jalen Hurts and apparently A.J. Brown have beef. It's squashed within a week from when that report comes out. A.J. Brown has been known to be a headache and is asking for the ball at like CeeDee Lamb and Terrell Owens. But all of a sudden, that's starting to quiet down a little more. And we see him reading a book, whatever you want to get him past it. I firmly believe that Sirianni is doing a fantastic job of managing personalities and keeping the band together and keeping on track with the mission. This guy's passionate. Yes, when it's Sirianni's out here yelling at fans and this and that, and it doesn't look like a good look, he's defending his guys at the end of the day. I'm in this locker room. I'm with this organization day in and day out. This is my livelihood, and I have high expectations because I have the best front office in the entire league that I have to manage the staff for when it comes to our player personnel. I think Sirianni is an unsung hero. I do think that when you do have these level of guys in your locker room, and especially these explosive personalities, potentially when you have this wide receiver that everybody wants to sit there and be like, oh, is he cancerous, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is, he's not. Apparently, because Sirianni's able to calm everything down.
Yeah, is Sirianni crazy? Yes. Does he do things unconventionally? Yes.
Yes.
Are his teams successful? Yes.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's what we should be looking at. Are his teams successful? In the last 5 years, they've made the NFC Championship game 3 times. You want to talk about success, that's getting it done. The only other coach who's had more success in that time frame is Kyle Shanahan. Okay, so we talk all the smack you want on Nick Sirianni, whether he's unconventional, he's a little stupid, whatever, blah, 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 blah. He gets the job done. And for me, that's enough. John Harbaugh's, with the amount of talent we've had over the last decade, we've made 1 AFC Championship game. Okay?
What was number 3? 3 NFC Championship games? The one against the Niners and this past one was number 3.
Wasn't it 5 years ago?
2?
5 years ago. Did they make one?
That was Doug Peterson, though, wasn't he?
What year did he get hired? It was 2019?
He got hired
21, same year as it was the same cycle as Saleh and
so
Doug
again,
Peterson.
he's made 2 NFC Championship games in 4 years.
Yeah,
success.
Two
Doesn't
Super Bowls.
negate my point. It's still success.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, though, right? We were talking about when Sirianni got hired and the quick success that they were having. It was the instant dialogue became, oh, was Doug Peterson even worth anything? Was Doug Peterson even a good coach? And now it's just, we kind of just want to recycle through these guys. And I don't think that you could put just anybody there. I do think that there's guys that can handle it. Of course, I think Andy Reid would have loved to play it under this front office in Philadelphia. But the fact remains that not everybody is capable of this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Mike McCarthy is capable of coaching that franchise. Yes, he's gotten to a Super Bowl. He didn't have to manage personalities like this. He didn't have to deal with a ravenous fan base that, is expecting dominance every time. And if
Cowboys
they don't
fans
get it, they're
definitely
ready to
expect
tear
dominance.
you apart. What happened?
Cowboys fans are definitely that.
I was talking about Green Bay fans, but
McCarthy.
But look at McCarthy. They expected dominance, and we couldn't get it done. This team is disciplined. They barely get flagged. It's just fundamentally sound, and they're doing it with different staffs. I mean, they are losing coordinators just whether it's to greatness or whether it's to, incompetence, because they've literally had to fire everybody last year because it was just horrible, and he was on the hot seat, and it was like, I got to change something before Philly gets me out of town. And in the other years, guys are getting hired all over the place. I mean, he's literally about to lose his offensive coordinator to the Saints right now. So I think the one constant, besides front office, is Nick Sirianni making this team go. And I don't believe that you can just put in any old coach and have this success. You got to give this guy his flowers, especially if he gets the job done this year.
Yeah, hard to argue against that. And then the other thing that I find kind of funny about, like this Eagles team compared to the last one from 2 years ago is offensively they're about the same. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley instead of Miles Sanders, which is a massive upgrade. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith still there. Offensive line about the same except for minus Jason Kelsey. But the defense is essentially like inversed. I remember that year, 2022, the Eagles set the sack record in a season. I think they had like 60 or 70 flat, and that was a record at the time, might still be. And now they're kind of the inverse. They're less of a pass rush heavy team, and they're more about shutting you down in the secondary. That's kind of their strength with DeJean and Kenyon Mitchell. Darius Slay still has some good football left in him. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that balance plays out with how the Chiefs are going to handle things offensively. They're going to be trying to establish the run early. They're going to be trying to throw it. We'll see. And we have a whole week and a half to prep for that.
I think the key for the Chiefs on offense is Isaiah Pacheco. And Matt Boucher talked about it last week here on the show. I think if Pop can get things going in the run game, if he can break off a couple of big runs early and the Chiefs are going to have to load up the box, that leaves things open over the top for Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown, because those are their two best pass catchers, in my opinion. And they need those guys on the outside with speed to get things moving over the top, to get Travis Kelce open underneath. Like that's how this Chiefs offense really works right now. If they can get those guys in some space, get the speedsters working, Isaiah Pacheco can get the run game moving down early, I think the Chiefs have a good chance of breaking through this Eagles defense. It's a tough task, but we've seen the Chiefs do it time and time again throughout this season. Even though they're not the best offense in the NFL, if they can put up, I'm going to say 27 points, I think that's the magic number for the Chiefs. If they can get to 27 points, I think they beat the Eagles.
You were so close at having like the perfect breakdown for me. Just so close. You messed up on one name for me. Just one name, because it's Kareem Hunt that has to get the ball moving. He's been the better running back. He's shown up in bigger moments this season. Pacheco's still a bit injured. We see the pop, no pun intended, literally, at times trying to explode, and he has like these little moments, but I think the more consistent back is absolutely Kareem Hunt. I think that's who we're going to see establish the run if they're going to do it through anybody. But I can't disagree with you. Everything was just perfect about that. I even like the number 27. It sounds like a winnable number. I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles need to chew clock and need to keep this a low scoring game, because I don't know if they have the big play explosibility that Patrick Mahomes has been known for through his entire career. I like Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I do think that there's a difference between your A tier and your B tier. I think he's a B plus that has the potential to get to the A, but there is still a tier difference between him and Patrick Mahomes in this one. And if the game's coming down to a game-winning drive, I'm taking it in Patrick Mahomes' hands every day of the damn week. So yeah, we talk about Philly having to establish the run and Jalen Hurts taking care of the ball, but there's still a tough defense that they have to try to figure out. If there's anybody that's going to do it, it's Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't be surprised if they come right at that secondary, right at that defensive line with the passing game. I dare you to try to sack me. I'm capable of getting the ball off faster than it seems any quarterback in the league at times, except maybe a prime Aaron Rodgers, right? I have no clue how they're going to attack this. But I do think if the run game is going to be established, it will be Kareem Hunt. And now we're off to the races, and then I'll be sitting there saying the Chiefs are overrated and I hate them. But that'll only be for a short time because, like I said, context gets lost over time. History only remembers the victors. And we need to appreciate that we are looking at one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, regardless of the circumstance, because no one's going to give a damn about the circumstances down the line. They're just going to look at the numbers. They're going to look at the accomplishments. And how do you even argue that? Right? Thank you.
You guys want to know a little fun fact I learned today?
What you got?
Pat Riley has a copyright on the word three-peat.
Yes.
Every
did see
time
that.
someone uses, every time someone puts it on like a T-shirt or like a poster, banner, you name it, he gets 5% of those profits.
Maybe you could pay Jimmy Butler with that money.
Yes, Ed.
Maybe you can get some competent
was
guys
just-
around Jimmy with
I-
that money.
I was going to actually just say, wow, I wish that he would actually think of how to deal with Jimmy as much as he thought about copywriting 3P. And listen, I love The Godfather. He's the man, but right now he's pissing me off. I can't even lie to you. Obviously, if we got more football, we'll get to it. I just got to touch on this Jimmy segment right now. Do you know, with LeBron James being a part of that franchise and the greatness that was the Heatles, with Dwayne Wade as your all-time player, Shaquille O'Neal having a championship stint there, Alonzo Mourning, the list goes, Chris Bosh, the list goes on and on. Are you aware that Jimmy Butler is responsible for 7 out of 10 of their best playoff performances in terms of points scored and the box score stuff? And like, he is a monster. This is for LeBron fans out there that want to cite getting to the finals with no help, without anything around you, with the greatness. Somebody better be singing the praises of Jimmy Butler just every now and then. It doesn't have to be as much as LeBron, but this is an unsung hero of the damn league, and I will sit here and I will give myself the flowers. I love this guy. I will take this guy over your favorite player 9 times out of 10 because he's freaking awesome with nothing to work with. Bam Adebayo is a 3-star on a championship squad. Tyler Hero is just thankful to be scoring points because that's all he can do on a damn court. All right? Nobody else you should love in this organization. Jimmy Butler, let my man free. Send him to Milwaukee. Send him wherever the hell he wants to go. And let's be done with it because the goddamn Miami Heat, for the first time in my life, look like absolute clown show.
San Antonio. Send him to San Antonio. I want him with Wemby.
That's where De'Aaron Fox is headed.
Ooh.
You think?
That's where you think De'Aaron Fox
That's where
I like that.
that's his preferred destination. That's what he told Shams Charania. But back to Jimmy. I mean, I don't think anyone would. I would say Jimmy's like an easy Hall of Famer. Is that controversial?
I'm in with you. We talked about whether or not he deserves a statue outside of Miami. Hell yes. Not just yes. Hell yes. Is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. He's one of the greatest superstars without star power help ever. He's Clyde Drexler of this generation.
Yo,
damn it.
JJ Redick's in the Hall of Fame. If JJ Redick's in the Hall of Fame, Jimmy
Well, that's
Butler's
for
in the Hall of Fame.
college.
Who cares?
there's
Jimmy
collegiate-
Butler is in the Hall of Fame.
No,
Jimmy Butler
I
is in
want
the
a
Hall of Fame.
separate NBA Hall of Fame. I hate that it's just the Basketball Hall of Fame because JJ should be celebrated at the collegiate level. JJ should not be celebrated at the NBA level because JJ is just he's a starter. He's not a star. All right, he should probably be a 6-man on a championship squad if we're being honest. But he's not a star, and the fact that if Jimmy gets in there, he's going to be at the same place that JJ Redick is, I think is a crime to Jimmy Butler. You know, but that's besides the fact. Jimmy Butler is absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes.
By the way, JJ Redick is not like a basketball Hall of Famer. He's in the Duke Athletic Hall of Fame, but he's not a basketball Hall of Famer.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
I could have sworn that he was in the Collegiate Hall of Fame because didn't he have the most points in ACC history?
Well, he's in the Duke Hall of Fame, yes, but
Well, what
not
the hell?
basketball.
What do you have to do to be in the Collegiate Hall of Fame for basketball if it's not having the most points in a conference all the time?
You might have to
Especially
wait
not-
like
it's not
20
even like
years or
one
something. Because when did you graduate?
I guess,
05,
yes.
06?
Something like that.
I mean, dude, the longevity should not factor in. I mean, being there should matter more to college. He's done more for their game.
Drafted in 2006, played till 2021. 15-year career.
Now he's coaching the 6th best team in the Western
Wow.
Conference. Right, Mazz?
Dude, we're horrible. It's not even. Dude,
They're actually playing better
he
lately.
can't fix-
Horrible.
No, we're
They
horrible.
beat the Warriors the
Listen,
other night.
That's great. The Warriors beat so and so the other night too. It's
Did-
just a flip flop.
Did you guys beat Boston like a week or two ago? in Boston.
This guy's not even watching his team. He's just making assumptions.
I'm watching. I'm not. I literally, every time I watch them, it's the same problems. We need a center. I still would love somebody out on the perimeter as a primary ball handler. We cannot rely on the 40-year-old man to bail us out every time. Anthony Davis needs to step up. And I swear, I think every time I do watch them, Anthony Davis and LeBron James have like the worst games of the season every time I tune in. So, yeah, I have been watching box scores a little more than I've been watching lately, but I still have been tuning in. But I got to be honest with you, every time I do, a year comes off my life. It's the same damn problems. Roy Hachimura should be a trade piece. What's his name? Austin Reeves should be a trade piece, and they should go all in on a damn championship. JJ Redick is not capable of fixing the problems that this team has. Rob Pelinka has proved to me can acquire two people worth anything, and that is it, my friend. I need a new GM. The Lakers should be higher up with what we have in terms of talent on a roster of star power, and we just have nothing else around these guys.
Should they trade for De'Aaron Fox?
Absolutely. 100%. I don't think they necessarily have the assets to do so. However, we talked in the car on the way in this morning. 2 first-round picks, and I'll give you any young star that you want. I'll even make a bundle. Hey, you want both of the guys that I just mentioned with the 2 first-round picks? By all means. I don't think it's enough. I think that they're going to want like 3 or something insane, but I do think De'Aaron Fox is out of Sacramento. I think that their way that they've handled this Mike Brown situation and Fox situation is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, minus Jimmy not being allowed out of Miami. But De'Aaron Fox is absolutely a kid. That is a star player. He's everything that I'm asking for. Perimeter play, can play some decent defense, definitely a scorer, definitely a dog, definitely wants to win. It's everything, and has three-point capability. Maybe not Steph Curry, but definitely three-point capability. It's everything that I've been screaming for that this team needs. However, it's not going to be them. I have more faith in San Antonio making that trade. I have more faith in every other damn 30 franchise out of the, so 29. So the other 29 franchises in this league, well, I guess 22 because of the Kings. I can't do math. I'm so sorry. The other 28 franchises in this league, I have faith that they will go out and acquire this kid before we are capable of doing it, because we are, in fact, the LA Muppets.
I don't know, Mazz. I feel like the Kings aren't a clown show anymore. Doug Christie's been coaching very well since he's taken over there. I think they're like 13-5 since he's taken over.
They had won like 9 of their last 10 before they played the Knicks on Saturday this past weekend. I saw that stat before the game started. So,
I mean,
they're still not going to do enough to win right now. So what do you do? Do you build around this kid? Because clearly they haven't been able to build around him. I think you got to trade him at this point. No, it's been the biggest story besides Jimmy this entire time. I mean, just ship him out of there already.
So we're on a basketball tangent right now. Let's go back to when, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, when the Kings they decided to trade Tyrese Halliburton and hang on to Fox. Mm-hmm. What was the thought process there? Why was it Fox and Halliburton on the move and not the other way around? I'm sure they would love to have Tyrese Halliburton on the roster right now.
I don't know. I think they're the same caliber
player. Halliburton's better than Fox?
I don't know that for a fact, but Halliburton's younger. He could be your franchise player. Like the window's bigger with him than it was with Fox.
At
the time, even that was true. At the time, it was true.
I just think that Fox has proved it in the harder conference for me. Right? I still believe that the West is head and shoulders better than the East. I think the East they've closed the gap a bit, but I still think just playing in the West overall, like the top of the East, you have your teams firmly cemented. And some of those guys are even falling, right? Celtics clearly on top. The Knicks are trailing somewhere. Don't talk to me about the 76ers. I don't even want to hear it. Toronto's definitely not what they used to be. Miami has even fallen from grace. Atlanta has not reached the heights I thought that they were going to be. Like, just the difference between it, where I feel like it is a dogfight night in and night out. I mean, you literally... Houston, number 2 in the West, all of a sudden, after the year that they had last year, one season, is able to turn around and get into the mix. The Grizzlies being healthy, that's a dangerous squad. Even with trading away Cat, you still can't, like, the Minnesota Timberwolves still are going to give teams problems. Oklahoma City is still here to stay. Golden State making problems. I want to bitch about the Lakers. They're still giving teams problems. Phoenix, even though it's in disarray and is going absolutely nowhere to a championship, is still in the mix for stuff. So it's like, I will forever believe right this second, the West is definitely the bigger shark tank to play in just because of what you have in the middle of the pack at the top and what's clawing from behind, where you really only have to worry about the top in the East for me.
Yeah, the West is definitely. I pulled the standings up. West is way more dense right now. I mean, the Kings are sitting in the last play-in spot at 24 wins. Meanwhile, in the East, the Bulls are in the last playoff spot and they're at 20. So not a huge difference, but still.
There was a
Golden.
point in the season, my friend, where your Knicks were number 3 in the standings for the East. The Lakers had the same record and they were 6th in the West. That just goes to show how much better the West is right now. There's talent in the East. There's dogs and players in the East. You're absolutely right. But it's a shark tank, my boy.
Saturday night, Mazz. Knicks, Lakers, Madison Square Garden. You want to drop $400 and go?
Absolutely not. James Dolan's never getting a dime off of me for that.
And
much,
maybe the last 10
right?
hits you get to see the King, man.
Dude, I know. I've been thinking of actually. Were you saying that to Mazz? I'm sorry.
Both of you guys.
That's gonna eat at me because I know I'm never gonna see him play in person, and one day one of these years he's gonna retire. I'm never gonna get a chance to see him play. But dude, I can't justify dropping $400 to go see a regular season basketball game. I can't.
Charlie, do you have to see the King against the Knicks? Because we can go to the Nets and get a way better deal.
Or Philly for that matter too. Is probably
we can
cheaper.
go to Philly. He'll probably play that game.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm pretty sure they just lost to Philly. Like Tyrese Maxey just dropped like 43 on us the other night.
Yeah.
Lord help me.
And
B didn't even play. And you guys want me to believe in this team?
And the headline I saw after the game was JJ Redick regrets putting Bronny James into the lineup during the third quarter or something put him out on the floor for some reason in the middle of the game.
He's back on the roster?
Should be in the G League.
He's back in the roster?
Yeah, he should be in the G League still. I don't know what he's doing on the sideline right now, but
if you can play in Philly, you can coach in LA. Clearly not. Dude, they didn't even have Embiid play. Did Paul George even play that game? Anybody know?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so either. We lost to Tyrese Maxey and Tyrese Maxey. All right, like, good Lord, what the hell are we doing?
Put some respect on Maxey's name, all right? He's a nice player.
He's good enough to take down Anthony Davis and LeBron James?
AD hasn't played in a week.
He's a little bit of a shot chucker, but...
Even without AD, come on.
And he only shot chucks when he's the only guy out there, when both Embiid and PG aren't there.
Yeah,
so like, who's going to shoot when
PG is
those guys
PG's
are out?
having a terrible year.
Yeah.
Caleb Martin. Give me Caleb Martin.
That's something I read actually the other day was Embiid is pushing for a Paul George, Jimmy Butler swap to bring him back to Philly.
He will definitely take that.
You know what they should do? They should trade Embiid's ass and finally be done with them. Because do you know that he's only played 40% of his games throughout his career?
I saw that.
Are you kidding me?
Well, you got to factor in he missed his first entire year with the foot injury. You know,
Yes.
he's missed. You know what I mean?
He's missed a part of every season. It feels like.
He is MVP.
So you can't be sitting there pushing for anybody to be traded when you're literally 60% of the time you're not even on the court for the damn franchise. Maybe they won a chip or two. Maybe they're the team coming out of the East every year. If their star guy can actually play the damn game, it sucks that you got injuries, but buddy, you don't have room to be talking about who needs to be traded and this and that when they are on the court more than you are.
He's got a point.
Paul George has one of the worst injury histories in modern times. He's played more of his games than Joel Embiid has.
Lonzo Ball's missed 2 years. Does he have more percentage playing time than Joel Embiid does?
Probably.
I think so. You know, yeah, because Lonzo, although he did have it, I don't think he missed games the first, 2 years with the Lakers. I don't think he missed games in New Orleans that much. It wasn't until Chicago where really the injuries started coming, right?
I'm happy for Lonzo. I'm glad that he's back and playing.
I want him back on the Lakers.
He's having a solid year right now too.
Mm-hmm. Dude, he's awesome. I never wanted them to trade him. I wanted Brandon Ingram out of there, not because I wanted him to leave, but just because he was too streaky and I knew it was a valuable piece. But I absolutely wanted Kyle Kuzma, who I knew was throwing up empty stats, to get the hell out of there because Lonzo Ball could actually be a starter on a championship squad. That is point God 2.0.
And he's a good lyricist, too.
He is a good lyricist, as he was credited on that number 12 song in the nation, I believe it peaked at.
Tweaker. Whoa.
What are we? I just didn't love the name of the song.
Well, you don't like Tweaker?
You know, I would have just called it "Whoa." Like that's what you remember from it most of all. You know,
Or
like, I
Swerve That
understand
Corner?
why I call it Tweaker. I don't know. Listen, hey, I'm gonna be honest. Jello Ball should be in the damn league. I have more value for Jello Ball on the Lakers than some of the guys on our rosters. Decent 3-point shooter, big body. I'm sure he'd be okay at defense.
He couldn't even crack it in the G League.
Dude, Jello dropped 30 in the G League, I'll have you know. I watched that entire summer league because I'm a fan of Jello Ball. If I had to rank my fandom of the Ball brothers, it was 100% Lonzo, Jello, LaMelo. Even though LaMelo is probably the most talented of all, it is the most talented of the three. That was just my fandom. I watched that entire G League, and the only reason I believe he was not signed longer on the roster is because James Bouknight started getting jealous and wouldn't pass him the damn ball more. All right, because he dropped 30 in that summer league too and looked absolutely awesome. I'm not saying he's going to be a star, but coming off the bench 3 and D, I think Jello Ball was more than capable of, and I just don't understand how there's guys that with worse skill sets, especially for this time of basketball that we play, and how that kid never got a true shot. Yeah, I got it. He messed up at UCLA. I understand. They come from an affluential home, and nobody wants to root for the affluential kid, especially when they're acting entitled and messing up in their youth. But I think Jello Ball absolutely should have got a better look than some of the bums that we watch every now and then. And I say bums lightly. I understand they have accomplished more in life than I probably ever will. But at the NBA level, playing against NBA talent, they're just not good.
Jello Ball.
He's a
That's a
dog.
silly nickname.
Jello. What do you mean silly? That's his name.
Jello. Leangelo. Jello.
Mello. It's Carmelo Anthony. It's Mello silly for Mello?
No, because Mello's not a fruit.
Jello's not a fruit. It's processed
Or a
fruit.
food.
Yep.
Sorry.
What do you mean it's not a food? Yellow Mello is a food. You can drink that thing.
All right, I stand correct.
Jello shots.
Thank you.
I love Jello
Yellow
shots.
shots.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It is now time for my favorite thing I've been hoping to do. I know we always got to talk about like the news cycle and what's going on in the drama, but I absolutely love these next segment that we have coming. Just things like this. Talk about hypotheticals. Talk about yay or nays. We're going to get into the Hall of Fame, right? I think that just too many times we get the Hall of Fame wrong. Some guys get in that shouldn't. Some guys aren't in that should be. Whether or not. And we got some names right now coming your way. Our great producer, Mr. Anthony Cafone, has made some awesome graphics. And we're going to talk about yay or nay for the Hall of Fame.
All right, guys. I'm excited to do this because I've made a couple of these, and I want to see what you guys really think about this. So I'm gonna go one by one. I'm gonna put him on the screen here. First guy that we have, I got Khalil Mack. Is he a Hall of Famer or not?
That is a yes for me.
So I have his resume up here on the screen. 107.5 sacks, which is tied for the 45th most all time, which he'll still play a couple more years. He just announced last week that he will be returning to football as a free agent, so the team will be able to sign him. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-team first-team All-Pro, 2016 AP Defensive Player of the Year, and a Hall of Fame 2010s All-Decade Team member. Hall of Famer?
Absolutely. Dude, I'm sorry, did you say 3-team or 4-team first-time All-Pro?
3-time first-team All-Pro.
Somebody's got to check Wikipedia. It says 4-time on there. But
No, because he has a second team in there.
What happened?
He's a second-team All-Pro thrown in there.
No, I got 4-team first time, 1-time second team, 9-time Pro Bowler. That's just Wikipedia. I'm not saying it's the best to go for.
Pro Football Reference says 3-time All-Pro.
That usually means first team.
They're right. Then they're right. They're absolutely right. Even with it, I don't care. It's enough. This has been. I cannot remember a guy being talked about as dominant as Khalil Mack was, especially on the Raiders. Right? It was just like, this is the guy you have to watch out for. Nobody else. I mean, this is a perennial defender. It has gotten harder to play defense as the years go on. I don't know if anybody's been more feared within the last decade. I mean, Von Miller is like the only name that kind of comes to mind in terms of like really causing havoc. And then you got to go really to like J.J. Watt. when we were talking about it. Of course, you got your new age guys, T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, but there was a span where, without question, Khalil Mack was the best defender for multiple years in the NFL. I absolutely think he's a Hall of Famer. He just had the unfortunate of being on not the best teams when it came to his career.
And then the other thing that I think is a testament to his greatness was the year he got traded from the Raiders to the Bears. He completely transformed that defense with just his presence alone. They went from a bottom of the barrel defense to, I think that first year they were definitely top 5 in defense, and they also cracked the postseason, won that division for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, a lot of great stuff under his belt. He's got the stats, he has the accolades, and just the eye test. Yeah, he was just a freak in nature, dominant. Khalil Mack should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm excited to see where he ends up next year. I think he's going to be he's going to be ring chasing. I think he's signing with somebody who playoff team.
Yes.
Where do you see him on? And if you're trying to rank like edge rushers from this past era, like he's definitely below like a T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. But where do you have him? Like 3, 4?
Definitely, I'd put him behind J.J. Watt too. If you want to put him in that same era.
Okay.
J.J.'s better all time.
Vaughn.
I'd put him ahead of
Vaughn got the Super Bowl MVP.
Vaughn and him are kind of the same guy for me, man. I mean, they're both nasty. I think they're both Hall of Famers. You know, I think if you swap either one on their teams, like I think they get the same job done where they've been. They're just that close for me. I think they're both awesome. In terms of where he's gonna go, I don't know. Just like the Rams
Chiefs.
just scream to me.
Chiefs.
Don't say that, please. Don't say that.
I see it. I just see it. He's
Yeah,
gonna ring chase.
I can see it.
He's gonna,
Remember when Terrell Suggs was wearing a Chiefs jersey? It's gonna look like the same exact thing.
Don't even remind me of that. Hurts me to my core.
But I'll tell you, I do think if Matt Stafford comes back for one hoorah, I could see them, getting a Khalil Mack in that building.
Okay, second guy after Khalil Mack, we got Russell Wilson.
I'll go first on this one. To me, Russ has not done enough to make the Hall of Fame. And I'll start with, so he's got 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win, no Super Bowl MVP. He's never been an All-Pro, never been an MVP, never been an Offensive Player of the Year. He's got great longevity. All-time stats are solid. He's not a Hall of Famer.
But Charlie, you think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, correct?
Correct.
With all those same things that you just mentioned, he does not have.
Let me double check that one real quick for you.
He's not a first-team All-Pro. He's never an MVP.
Can you give me? I already have my mind made up. I just think that we should just put this out there. Can you give me the resume of Mr. Russell Wilson?
So 360 career passing touchdowns, 111 career interceptions. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion in 2014 at Super Bowl 48. He has 5,462 rushing yards, which is 4th all-time on the quarterback list. And he was the 2017 passing TDs leader.
Russell Wilson never finished top 5 in MVP voting. Phillip Rivers did once.
Well,
twice.
the year Lamar won unanimous, Russ was consensusly the second guy on that list.
What year was that? 2018?
2019.
I like Russ. I just
He
don't know.
he was second team All-Pro that year.
Exactly.
But
That's because Lamar was unanimous.
I don't.
MVP.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing any MVP votes for a Mr. Russell Wilson
Because they all went to
2019.
Lamar. They only pick one
It
MVP
was
vote.
unanimous.
It's unanimous.
And if he's the second team guy, he would be the runner-up. They just had the unanimous that year. But I think Charlie is right. I like Russ. I like Russ a lot. I'm rooting for Russ to still have, show everybody that he's got stuff left in the gas tank. I really think that if Pittsburgh would have just gotten any other secondary receiver in the building, we could be talking differently about this season. Apparently, him and Mr. Canada, offensive coordinator, did not get along this year. He apparently wanted
Arthur
to really
Smith.
rock with Justin Fields. Sorry, Arthur Smith. My apologies. Matt Canada was the one before, who was horrible. My apologies. him and Arthur Smith not getting along, and apparently Smith wanted Justin Fields, even though Russ throws the better ball. Russ was definitely the better win now quarterback. I think if they would have just got another wide receiver, we'd be talking differently about it. Everybody was ready to write him off with Denver. He still showed towards the end of Denver once they just got a new head coach in there. I'm still can do this at a high level. Unfortunately, Sean Payton knew the writing on the wall. With this roster, we're not winning a championship. We absolutely need to hit rebuild. We need to get this contract off the books so that we can actually do something here. I like Russ. I like the story of Russ. I even like the Legion of Boom era, even though they got a little annoying at the end. And if Pete Carroll just runs the damn ball, he has 2 Super Bowls. Maybe we're talking about this a little differently. However, I'm with Charlie. He's on the outside looking in. He's knocking on the door, but not enough for the gold jacket. So, no.
A testament to Russ, though. I before we hopped on the pod, I was talking to you guys about approximate value, remember? I won't go too in depth on it right now, but according to the stat, Russell Wilson is the 19th most valuable player in NFL history. Phillip Rivers is at 10th. So, yeah, I'm taking Phillip Rivers over Russell Wilson all day, every day.
So I think that's also hard to calculate, too, because I think defenses just kind of get hosed on that because the best part of that team, and I love Marshawn Lynch, one of my favorite players of all time, but the best part of Seattle was that defensive unit. And when you have that many guys making an impact, the stats are spread out instead of being condensed like that, So at any given moment, they're not only competing against the offense, they're competing with each other to make the damn play because they have just so much greatness there. So that's why I don't even love that metric.
I do have a question. Super Bowl 49. If Russ doesn't throw that pick and the Seahawks win that game, is Russ a Hall of Famer in your eyes, consensusly?
I think it makes all the difference.
Would he have been MVP, you think, like genuinely?
Yeah, he was going to lead the game-winning scoring drive. He had a couple of big throws he made. The one to Curse, the
should have been Marshawn Lynch, but they're schmucks for even throwing the ball. Thanks, Pete.
But even if Marshawn scores that touchdown, I don't think he's the Super Bowl MVP.
So Russ was 12 of 21 for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the pick. Marshawn Lynch, 24 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. I think Marshawn would have won that MVP. I'm not going to lie.
2 say Russ completes that pass though, and it's his third touchdown pass. That's Super Bowl MVP.
He wins the MVP.
So he's
whoever would have scored the touchdown would have been the MVP.
He's going to win 13 of 21.
But I will also say this though, right? Marshawn Lynch is the reason why they got down on that game-winning drive. So Russ didn't lead the game-winning drive. Marshawn Lynch quite literally led the charge on that game-winning drive.
What do you mean? He threw a 40-yard pass that got him down to the 5-yard line.
No, it was Marshawn Lynch.
No, Jermaine Kearse. Remember the Jermaine Kearse catch?
Jermaine Kearse, crazy
juggling,
catch.
Hit his leg, and he snared it.
It was Marshawn that got it down there, was it not?
No. It was a 2-minute drill.
I don't understand.
They had to get down. They had to get down within.
How do you not give the ball to Marshawn in that situation? I will never understand. He's best power back in the damn league at the time.
He wasn't a great goal line back. People forget that. He was a power back, but he was never great, short yardage. He was a good, break a few tackles and bust out a long run. He wasn't like a goal line running back.
Listen, I love that guy, but I think you bring up a fair argument. I do think, I probably am talking differently about Russ on whether or not he's in the Hall of Fame. The reason why I say Matt Stafford, yes, even with the one Super Bowl, is just the organization that he was on and the talent around him. It was him and one guy every damn year, where Russ had a plethora of guys, and they came up short in one of the biggest moments. They never really got back to it. I think losing that defense exposed him a little bit, talent-wise, and age playing its factor. I think Russ has been the benefit of being in the best situation you could possibly ask for, except playing for the New England Patriots at the damn time. And I think he could have done a little more if he was going to be a Hall of Famer.
And then the difference for me between him and Matt Stafford is Stafford, as of right now, is already top 10 in the major passing stats, and touchdown passes and passing yards. By the time he hangs it up, he could be potentially even top 5. So, and Russ is never going to reach those heights in terms of being a prolific passer.
But he is a better runner. It's just different style of play with it. But I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. It's just the goggles that we decide to put on what we value in a quarterback. Because, Russ is of that Lamar Jackson, that Michael Vick, even that Jaden Daniels. They're not going to have necessarily the better passing stats than a guy who just sat back in the pocket and was just slinging like a Matt Stafford, like a Peyton Manning,
I will argue, though, Russ was definitely more of a passer than the guys you just mentioned.
Sure. sure. But he's also not as much like he's that balance between it. He had that running capability and he used it quite often. But he's not a better thrower of the ball than Matt Stafford, but I think he definitely has thrown less attempts, even if you just break it down by year, because he just plays a different style of ball. Also, they weren't in the situation to be chucking things up all the time because it was just a better team. They definitely could manage the clock, and he had a beast running back, So situation matters. I think Russ had the way better situation and didn't do enough with it. That's why he's not Hall of Fame worthy for me. But I will say, what a damn player, bro. He was awesome to watch in his prime. He's still awesome to watch right now.
All right, so Russ is a no. Khalil Mack is a yes, so we're 1-1 right now. Stephon Gilmore is our third guy. Defensive back, played with the Bills, played with the Patriots, the Colts, now the Vikings. His resume right now: 5-time Pro Bowler, 2019 AP Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time First-Team All-Pro, 32 career interceptions, and a 1-time Super Bowl champion in 2019 with the Patriots. Hall of Famer?
Yes. Yeah. It is so hard for a DB to win Defensive Player of the Year. That is probably the most impressive thing when it comes to Gilmore for me. So I just pulled up every corner that's ever won DPOY, or corner or safety secondary player. And the list is Stephon Gilmore, Troy Polamalu, Charles Woodson, Bob Sanders, Ed Reed, Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, Kenny Easley, Lester Hayes, Mel Blount, and Dick Anderson. I want to say about 75 to 80% of those guys are Hall of Famers. Not 100% sure. I can double check on some of them, but I know Polamalu, Woodson, Reed, Deion, Rod Woodson, Mel Blount. I know for a fact those guys are Hall of Famers. Gilmore, he deserves to be in that conversation as well.
I'm just thinking about the guys that year. Like the voting that year was not insane. That Defensive Player of the Year race. Like Chandler Jones came in second. I'm pretty sure it was 2019. So Chandler Jones came in second, TJ Watt in third, Shaq Barrett in fourth. But none of them really had insane seasons. Actually, wait. Oh, Chandler Jones had 19 sacks. Wow. Oh my God. How did he not win Defensive Player of the Year that year?
He didn't break the 20 barrier. That's why.
I think Stephon Gilmore, dude. Coming up with, I love sacks. It's my favorite thing to watch in the game. But interceptions are just so valuable, like that turnover, getting the ball back, keeping that team off the board, and for the momentum in the game, it's just so big. And I'm sorry, you said that Gilmore has 34 interceptions?
Career-wise, he had 32. He had 6 in 2019 when he won Defensive Player of the Year. 2 he took back for touchdowns.
Oh, it's at 30. It's at 32.
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yep.
He's tied with Troy Polamalu. Anytime that you tie one of the greats in my eyes in that big of a stat, which is the most important stat at that position that they're playing, being a safety, I think I absolutely need to give him the nod. And I think it also just goes to show just how great Ed Reed could have been in the Hall of Fame twice, because he has 64 career interceptions. That guy is insane. But I think Stephon Gilmore is definitely a guy that doesn't get the flowers enough, because when you're, playing for Buffalo, and then you come over to the Patriots, nobody was really talking about anybody on Buffalo at that time. And then to come over and play with the most polarizing figure in football. I mean, everybody talks about whether you love or hate him with, the reverence that Tom Brady gets. You're always in that shadow. This is an unsung hero. Definitely a guy that has contributed to winning ball, and is definitely one of the most dominant guys that we don't think about on a field.
Interesting fact, too, 2019, he led the league in pass breakups on top of his leading league in interceptions with 20. So, yeah. So
that's how he won Defensive Player of the Year, pretty much.
He's just playing coverage, and I think that's something that we don't look at a lot, right? And with DBs is their coverage ability. It's a lot of if you can do everything, right? DBs, they look at if you can do sacks, you can get tackles, you can break up passes, get picks, force fumbles. In order to get a DPOY, you have to do all of it. But if you could just be a solid, just every time they throw to you, be a coverage corner, that's so valuable. I think Stephon Gilmore's done that. How old is he now? 33?
35.
And he still was playing a good season with the Vikings.
He was 34 this year. He's going to be 35 next year.
Yeah, my apologies. I said safety over the top. the Cowboys used him in safety situations at times. This guy's versatility with it too, so like he could cover basically anything. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Stephon Gilmore is the greatest athlete I've ever seen at the corner position, but definitely one of the most intelligent.
No, and you see that a lot with corners that age like that, who still have it up here, but maybe they're starting to slow down, like Richard Sherman. I know Darrelle Revis even played some safety towards the end of his career. Stephon Gilmore now kind of moving into that a little bit. But, yeah, it's just definitely one of the best secondary players of this generation, I'd say.
All right,
I got a question for you before we move on. Would you rather Richard Sherman or Stephon Gilmore?
All time?
Stephon Gilmore. Because Stephon Gilmore could play man. Richard Sherman was primarily just a zone corner.
That's a good point, and I agree with you. But I'm not gonna lie, Richard Sherman a lot more entertaining though.
Oh yeah, he had the box office ability. That's something that we can't take away.
Just don't try him with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, man.
Well, that's what you're gonna get. Yeah. All right. Fourth, Stephon Diggs, receiver right now for the Texans, 4-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time first-team All-Pro, but he has 10,461 career receiving yards, or 91 receiving yards, 70 career receiving touchdowns, and of course, the Minneapolis Miracle, one of the greatest plays in the history of football.
All a fantastic resume for Mr. Diggs. Not a Hall of Famer. There's too many other great receivers ahead of him, especially in this era, that would get the nod in front of him. And not that he doesn't have great stats, and the first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro is great. It's just he hasn't done enough production and enough winning to crack into that conversation of potentially being a gold jacket receiver.
I don't believe he's top 20 in either majors, in all the three main stats. No, I think he's great. I think he's fun as hell to watch. I just do not think, as Charlie said, better has come before, and we do need to have a cutoff. So, no, I think he's somebody for, if you were there for the era of watching it, jaw-dropping capability. I definitely wish that it would have went down a better way for his Buffalo tenure, but no, my friend, I have to say no for me on Mr. Diggs on that one.
If he has another 2 more 1,000-yard seasons, does this conversation change?
Potentially, but is he going to get there? But I don't think it's. I would need to be very much blown away by the performance, and I just don't see it happen.
I'd need to see an offensive player of the year, like a Cooper Kupp Triple Crown season, or even like Jamar Chase had this past year. You know what I mean?
If somehow the Houston Texans end up in a Super Bowl, and I see him take over the Super Bowl like Cooper Kupp did,
what
I don't
about
even
Odell?
think he needs the Triple Crown.
Like Odell did before he got hurt?
You got to complete the game for me, though. Cooper Kupp took over when they most needed it. He takes over when they most need it. He has that performance in the Super Bowl. We could talk differently about this, but, you got to hit either what Charlie said or what I said for me to consider change in my mind.
Okay, final guy we have on this list, a little unconventional pick. Lane Johnson, offensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, but I'm going to argue he deserves probably 2 or 3 more just because he keeps getting robbed by Penei Sewell the one year. And he's a 1-time Super Bowl champion with a chance to change that this next upcoming 2 weeks. And he also has the record for the most games consecutively without giving up a sack.
I believe Penei Sewell, even this year, was considered the better offensive lineman, but all the lineman stats of not giving up stats, winning your blocks, both in run and pass coverage. I think Lane Johnson literally beats him in all of it. Absolutely a Hall of Famer for me. It's hard playing offensive line. We never want to talk about it. It's the most important facet to a game. You could have a mid quarterback back there. You give him time to throw. He'll absolutely make something happen playing at the NFL level. And Lane Johnson is a guy that not only that I've recently been told that apparently I look like a shrunken version of, so he must be good looking, and he is.
Like Brian Dable.
But his performance, his performance on the field is just top notch, dude. I mean, This is Mr. You're not touching my quarterback. Still playing at a high level. I expect him to be one of the main factors for Philly winning. I bet you he wins 95% of his blocks in this game, if not more. Depending on whether or not you see Chris Jones just ends up in front of him at sometimes. We know they like to bounce him around. But yeah, I think absolutely 110%. You want to talk about Jason Kelsey being awesome? Lane Johnson was right there with them, helping him out on that offensive line. This is absolutely a guy that needs flowers. Give me Lane Johnson. Yes to the Hall of Fame for me.
And also, just the cherry on top, also has a receiving touchdown in his career.
He's a receiver. Well, Penei Sewell has like 3, right?
I don't know about that, but I'm looking at his PFR page right now. Two-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, Super Bowl ring, 3 Super Bowl appearances, Hall of Famer.
Well, the problem is,
Elite.
like, with offensive linemen, too, like, it's hard to get a first ballot. Tackles are a little easier than guards and centers. But a guy like Lane Johnson, who has the longest streak in NFL history with not giving up a sack, 26 games that he did a few years ago. I think he's back on another streak now where it's like, I think it's like 15 or 16 he's on. He's one of the best tackles to ever play the game. And I think not only is he a Hall of Famer, he should be a first ballot. Like, I know it's crazy to say about an offensive lineman.
The only knock against him that I could see him keeping him away from being not a Hall of Famer, but being a first ballot Hall of Famer is during his 12-year career, he's only played a full season twice, which is tough as an offensive lineman. It's tough to stay 100% healthy the whole season, but only playing all 16/17 games in 2 years out of 12. It's a little rough.
Charlie, but how many games was he missing those years? Like, are we talking like he played 14?
So he played 12 his second year in the league. He played 6 his 4th year in the league, 15 and 15 in his 5th and 6th year, 12 games in his 7th, 7 games in his 8th, 13 games in his 9th, 15, 16, 15.
Also,
so like some seasons are like obviously like better than others where he only missed a game or two, but there's a lot of seasons there where he missed a good chunk of time.
And also the big knock too is the 2 first-team All-Pros. Like for offensive linemen, like the big thing that these Hall of Fame voters look at when they're electing linemen,
All pros
is all pros. Like, and the fact that he has 2 first team and 3 second team, like he really probably should have like 4 or 5 first team All Pro selections.
Yeah.
I'm very much of like I do think that longevity can be a little overrated at times. I think playing at like the high caliber while you're there is more important than that. So, and that's funny because I was just bashing Joel Embiid, but it's not like he's missing 40% here, right? Or only playing 40% here, right? So, like, there's high years, there's low years. It seems to average right around averaging 12 games a season. I think he's done enough for me. I'm not going to lie, though, Charlie. You almost had me there. I am kind of thinking about my choice, but I'm still saying yes to the
Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot, but I think he'll make it eventually.
All right, and that is your Hall of Fame or not segment.
Thanks,
so
Ant.
Go 2 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Mac, Khalil Mack, Stephon Gilmore, and Lane Johnson, but you said Diggs and Wilson were not.
I think we might have been a little too generous here.
You think so?
I don't know, maybe.
Gilmore, you could convince me a no for Gilmore, but I just his stats back it up. I don't know. For me,
we could do it again sometime. We could do a segment again with 5 new players.
Too nice for it. You know, fellas. Last thing on the agenda here. I know we've been talking about coaches. 2 big news coming from it. First off, Pete Carroll back. Good guy.
Shout out Pete.
You know, that came absolutely out of nowhere. The second I saw the headline, though, I went, they're absolutely going to do it. Who else is there? This guy has experience. Do you think that Pete Carroll is capable of getting the Raiders to success within the next 2 seasons? And when I mean success, I mean being number 2 in the division and making the playoffs where they eventually get knocked out.
Am I crazy to say yeah?
I think so, because the Broncos are there, and I like the Broncos.
I know the Broncos are there. I know the Chargers are there. I know the Chiefs are there. But Pete Carroll, this is not his first time doing this. He did it at USC. He did it in Seattle for the Seahawks. He just knows how to jumpstart a franchise, a program, a team. He just knows what buttons to press to get things going in a different direction. And let's be real, guys. He's 76 years old. He's not going to be coaching here in Vegas for the next 5 years, probably. He's establishing a culture. That's what Tom Brady and Mark Davis hired him to do. They're bringing him in to get this thing going in a different direction than what it was going with Antonio Pierce. And I think he's going to do it. I genuinely do.
I got to just give my man Antonio Pierce the flowers real quick. If you want to talk about establishing culture, guy actually made players want to not get traded from that organization, right? Max Crosby could have enforced his way out anytime he wants to. He's potentially thinking about it now. I hope Pete Carroll can change the mind. I also would like to see him in a couple of different uniforms. That'd be cool. But nonetheless, yeah, Charlie, I think Pete Carroll can do it. I call me crazy. I have more faith in Pete Carroll than I do in the Chargers. I don't know why. I just prefer it. I think better track record of building up there for me. Just in terms of like Pete Carroll alone. I like John Harbaugh, but I do think there's just something about the Raiders roster and culture that I want to believe in it more. I think that they have more passion behind this more. I think bringing in Tom Brady and everything, I firmly believe that the culture is going to change. I don't know if the Chargers are fully capable of leaving those old ways behind, even with John Harbaugh being there, a guy who brought greatness back to Michigan, right? I don't know. I'm just more inclined to believe in Pete Carroll, and I just got a feeling about it. I can't say it. If you want to disagree with me, you're absolutely right. Charlie, I think, is right in this one. However, I do think that they stay the number 3 team in this division. I have so much more faith in Sean Payton.
Hard not to. I mean, he's one of the best coaches in football right now.
And speaking of one of not the best coaches in football right now, the Dallas Cowboys have made a hire of Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator, who wasn't even calling plays. What the hell are we doing?
Listen, Mazz, listen. I know Brian Schottenheimer isn't the most exciting hire. It's not even. What's a less exciting word than exciting? I don't know. It doesn't even make you go, huh? Okay. But you should still go, huh? Okay, because you never know with these head coaches. You literally never know.
Okay.
Did you think Dan Campbell was going to be great? His first press conference.
I had more reason to believe. I had more like, how the hell are you a coordinator and you don't even call the damn place?
He's a long time. He's called plays a lot during his career.
But how do you promote? So supposedly Mike McCarthy wanted a 5-year contract. Jerry wanted to give him a 3-year. I actually think Jerry's correct for once in this. I don't know how Mike thinks that he deserves a 5-year contract. Yes, we were the number 1 offense in years, but we just have not gotten past the threshold. I don't understand how you want the 5-year contract there. I also don't understand how he pulled out of the Saints this early. I think the Saints are making a big mistake not going with him for reasons that we talked about last week. Go check out that episode if you want more of a breakdown on that. But how the hell do we sit here and be like, Mike, we don't believe that in you for 5 years, but we're going to hire this guy, I believe, for a 4-year contract. Like, when Mike was more in control and had more to do with the success than this guy did, right? I don't understand it. I will say I do like that Eberflus is going to be the defense coordinator. The only thing that he did right was that defense up in Chicago, so I actually have more reason to have faith in him than I did have in Zimmer this past season with a defense, so I am excited for that. However, with what was out there, I just do not understand how you go with this. The only thing that makes sense, Jerry got a guy that's going to listen to everything that he wants. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity at head coach. Yes, whatever decision you want, we are going with that. And once again, the Cowboys are going absolutely nowhere.
So you could look at it like that, or you could look at it like a little backroom handshake agreement with Brian Schottenheimer that, hey, listen, Schotty, you're going to be the head coach here for a year or two. We're going to wait for Dion's Colorado contract to roll one more year, and then we're going to get Dion over here. We're going to put you back to offensive coordinator, and Deion Sanders will be your head coach.
You think Dion is going to not want to bring his own guys in? I don't believe that.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And with the buyout clause, with another year passing, does it go down from 10 million? I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it does go down. Yeah.
So we're willing to pay what, 7, not 10, if that's how much, if it even goes down that much. Jerry, if Dion's your guy, god damn it, pay the $10 million. You're a goddamn oil tycoon. What are we doing? You know, you built Jerry's World, the most expensive, elaborate, stadium. There's a freaking mall under the goddamn thing. Like, come on, buddy. That place is pumping in money even when you're not even playing football games. If 10 million was the recent difference of to not get Deion Sanders or to get Deion Sanders, how the hell can I believe that we are all in on wanting to win a championship and be great and be the 90s Cowboys again? I will just take one Super Bowl. It doesn't even need to be the dominance of the 90s anymore. And I please let it be under Dak Prescott so I can shut the hell up, everybody, especially those annoying ass Giants fans who've been sitting there telling me that he's not that good. All right. But anyway, I have no idea what to believe in. Charlie, I hope you are right. I hope I come out week 2 of next season and I go, this guy's awesome. I love it. I was so wrong. Shoddy, I'm so sorry. Buddy, we're best friends. But no, I'm probably going to be sitting here like, oh, God, this team is still shoddy and it's just not going anywhere, So I have no clue what we're doing. I have no faith. I'm in a bigger purgatory than the Ravens not getting past the AFC Championship game. It's just horrible, buddy. Sorry, buddy. I had to hit you with that one real quick. I'm in worse purgatory. I think the Jets with Aaron Rodgers have more of a chance of being successful than I do with this new head coach. And that's saying a lot because I don't think you should believe in the Jets anymore if Aaron Rodgers is in the building. But nonetheless, we'll see how it happens. But that is okay. That is okay because the last move that has not been official, Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more. Duval. What the hell? Like, don't even what?
Duval.
That was so just, dude. That was cringe to the max. I have no clue how that guy just reneged on the contract with Tampa and then actually ends up taking the job. What?
So it's tough. So we'll go through the timeline real quick first. So yeah, Liam Cohen interviews for the Jags job. He says, "You know what? Thanks, but no thanks. Your GM stinks." And then Shad Khan's like, "Man, I really want this guy. Let me fire my GM real quick." He fires the GM. He calls Mr. Cohen. He says, "Hey, man, I fired the GM. You want to come back now?" And keep in mind, the day before that, the Bucs made Liam Cohen the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. So Cohen ghosts the Buccaneers, flies to Jacksonville, takes the job, and Duval has a new coach.
Dude,
Now, see, this is the tough part because I a few weeks ago I was like, "Yo, Liam Cohen should be getting more interviews," because I really liked him as an offensive coordinator on the Bucs. He was fantastic. I said it after they lost in the wild card. I said they should fire Todd Bowles and they should promote him to head coach. And this is why, because he was going to get plucked by somebody. He had a great relationship with Baker, a great feel for that offense, and now here you are, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, back-to-back years. First Dave Canales, now Liam Cohen. You're looking for a new OC.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't know what they're doing there. And I think who are they even going to bring in? You can't have 3 great offense coordinators in a row. They were lucky to have
you're
2.
going to
Like,
run out of luck eventually, right?
You know, like who's it going to be? I mean, I don't know. I mean, imagine Mike McCarthy just ends up there and ends up taking over. I don't know. That's who's there. Where are you going to pluck this from? I have absolutely no clue where they're getting this from, but yeah, there's that one. And then the biggest mistake of all, it's not Schottenheimer. It's the Saints. What the hell are you doing? Let's go through this timeline, right? Timeline that I'm just fabricating real quick. Mike McCarthy's in the running. All of a sudden, Mike McCarthy pulls out and says that he's going to be focusing on the 2026 cycle of hires. However, it's basically down to him. I believe Kafka from the Giants, who, why would you even be looking at that with that offense? Like, good God. And Kellen Moore. Let me tell you who Kellen Moore is, who looks like is going to be the next Saints head coach. Kellen Moore is the guy who was the offensive coordinator and got the Dallas Cowboys to the #1 offense the year that he was there. They fire him because Mike's on the hot seat and somebody has to be scapegoated. Mike takes over playing calls that next year. Kellen's gone. the Cowboys are still the number one offense in terms of like points scored and yardage and stuff. So clearly, Kellen Moore didn't have that big of an impact on it. He then goes over to the Chargers, where they are horrible. Granted, they had a
Justin
horrible
Herbert
head
has
coach.
his worst season as a quarterback.
Worst season ever in his career as a quarterback. And then he ends up, I believe they fired Kellen Moore, and he ends up hired by the Philadelphia Eagles, who were, let's be honest, kind of desperate for some coordinators, and they took a shot. And now, again, elite talent, they're looking pretty damn good. They're not the number one offense in the league, but they're looking pretty damn good. So it just goes to show to me that Kellen Moore has success where there is talent. Does anybody on this podcast or listening to this podcast, you can at me at BigMazz18 on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. I think it might be the same thing. A Big Papa Mazz 18, I believe, on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. You'll see the face of the beautiful shiny bald head. You can even, if you know me, text me. If anybody ever leave a comment, I don't care, anywhere, socials, what have you. If you think the Saints have a damn roster anywhere close to the talent Philadelphia is working with on offense. Yes, Alvin Kamara is good. He's not Saquon Barkley. I don't even want to hear about Derek Carr. You want to say that he has a bigger arm than Jalen Hurts? Whatever. He is not a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. It's not a better offensive line. It's not a better wide receiver core. And yes, Olave is pretty good. I'm still taking A.J. Brown every day of the week. I couldn't even tell you who the second wide receiver is right this second. I am taking Devonta Smith every day of the damn week. I'm taking the damn tight end, for crying out loud. Just offense, not even getting into the defensive side, because we know how much better that the Eagles are than just about every damn team out there on the defensive end. Just on the offensive side alone, you have faith in Kellen Moore to build this thing up. You have faith in Kellen Moore, who has Justin Herbert and makes him look horrible. You have faith in him to go out there and lead you to this next generation. Maybe it's just like a bridge gap. I don't know. But you literally have a guy in Mike McCarthy that is known to develop even established guys take the next step under him. And you don't go out there and make that your priority number one and give him 4 seasons, 2 of hell, 2 of rebuilding to really get established. They have made the worst mistake since the Dolphins let Drew Brees not be drafted by them because of the damn injury, which clearly didn't matter. This is a fumbled bag if I've ever seen one. Mike McCarthy 110% should have been the head coach of the New Orleans Saints moving forward, not Kellen Moore. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I thought the Cowboys were going to wait for Kellen Moore, slot for the Super Bowl to hire him, but obviously they wanted to go forward with Shoddy. But yeah, Kellen Moore doesn't make a lot of sense to me as a head coach. I'd rather keep Darren Rizzi for another season, honestly, because they showed some fight under him at least. I don't know. Kellen Moore just doesn't scream at me as like a head coach. You know what I mean? Why can't guys just be great coordinators? Why does everyone want to shoehorn Cliff Kingsbury back into a head coach?
Look at
you know what I mean? Like,
look at Eric Bieniemy.
Exactly.
Chiefs never get their coordinators poached for some reason. They'll always stay. Every other team gets their coordinators poached every single season. The fix is in.
Do you think that's a reverence for a reverence? How do you say that?
Reverence.
A reverence for just Andy Reid?
No, because when he was in Philly, they got his coordinators poached all the time. John Harbaugh is from Philly.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's so.
Stop. No, but think about it, right? I mean,
real quick. So besides Bieniemy, who he didn't even really get like hired away, it was more like he wanted a bigger opportunity to call plays somewhere. The last coordinator to be hired away from Kansas City was Matt Nagy, and that didn't turn out great for the Bears. I mean, they made the playoffs once or twice.
Bill Belichick had coordinators poached all the time. They rarely ever worked out. I think Brian Flores was the best one, and Brian Flores didn't have a great record, who I still think could be a great head coach. I think that guy definitely needs another chance, but I just don't understand if you're looking to rebuild a culture, going with Kellen Moore, because he's not the guy. I mean, he had a chance with the Chargers. Nothing happened. I mean, this is a guy that is clearly predicated on talent, I think. I think Antonio Pierce could build you up your culture. I think Mike McCarthy can help you build culture, but more importantly, develop your young quarterback. I think Brian Flores is better at building culture. These are all guys that the Saints should have been looking at. These are also guys I kind of wish the Cowboys would have looked at as well, but I understand why they didn't, because they want to go with a more familiar or established name, what have you. But I will say this, as upset I am about Schottenheimer, I'm actually happy that they went with him instead of Kellen Moore, because I don't really know what to expect with Schottenheimer. I'm not expecting much, but I know what Kellen Moore is, and it's not the guy, you know? So I am just absolutely flabbergasted as to how that they could think that this is going to be it, unless they 110% want to lose and only want him for a year or two. I don't know. It just does not make sense to me.
I don't know. It's one thing's for sure is you can't say, you don't know for sure when a new coach is brought in. You don't know what they're going to do for your team. You don't know what they're going to do for your culture. You just got to wait and see how the games go when they start playing them.
I
So
would have called him Marcus Freeman and offered him twice as much as I was going to pay Kellen Moore. Like, I don't mean to, like, you know, take away from Kellen, but, like, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Like, I think he's a good coordinator when there's talent. I don't think he's, you know, reinventing the wheel when there's not that much to work with. This is an aging team. They absolutely need to tear it all down. They need to stop trying to hang on. This is 2 years. Tampa Bay has just ran away with the division in terms of your standing. Everybody else is trying to compete, or at least, like, in terms of, like, reinventing. Atlanta's looking to get younger, right? Even though that they just dropped a bag on a quarterback, they still drafted a new one, and it looks like that's where they're going for the next season. Carolina's in kind of hell right now, but at least they've torn it down and are trying to build it back up, and you're sitting there hanging on to strings that aren't attached to anything. Like, just cut it loose already, man. Thank you for my TED Talk.
I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. Anything else?
No, I think we hit everything.
I cannot believe I'm going to say this. This might be the only time you ever hear me say this. This is for our guy, Mike Foley. Shout out Mike Foley, who used to come on Ant and Mazz all the time and would hit us with one line and one line only. I will not say it with as much enthusiasm, but go Bird.
Well, guys, we have next week's show to talk about the Super Bowl as well. So our preview and whatnot is gonna bleed into that next week.
I will never say that phrase ever again.
What?
Go Birds!
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
One of my favorite videos ever is from the 2017 Eagles run. When they beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship game, there's this woman in a Minnesota Vikings sweatshirt who's like scolding this Eagles fan, like a teenager. And he's just in front of her going, "Go Birds!" Just over and over again.
Obnoxious. Can the meteor
All right,
just
guys,
hit the
whatever.
stadium? That's
Whatever.
what
All
I'm
right.
hoping for.
At Mazz and Bads on Instagram, at Mazz and Bads on TikTok. Unbelievable. No enthusiasm in the outro.
I just hit you with a Go Birds. Damn it!
I hit you with a
whispered it.
Rocky. What do you mean no
Second
enthusiasm?
time. I'm not saying it again. I'm not saying it. You know what? I'm going to say it again. When Philly wins and I've sat there and I've just drank all the Bat Blue my stomach could handle, and it's going to just pop out because I'm slightly hating. I'm going to be honest. I'm slightly hating. I'm going to call it down the middle, but I'm not going to lie. I kind of would just rather deal with Philadelphia at this point. But that's it. That's all I got for you. We'll catch you next week. Big game preview. Boom.
At Mazz and Bads on Instagram. At Mazz and Bads on TikTok. Boom. Plugged.
You have been listening to the Mazz and Bad Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.